Hi, trumpet players. My name is Peter Wood. I'm the professor of trumpet at the University of South Alabama in Mobile. Welcome to this year's edition of the All-State Preparation Podcast series. I'll be offering you some tips and suggestions for how to learn these excerpts most effectively, and I hope you find them helpful. Listen to my recordings as well to get an idea for some ways to interpret the excerpts so that you can put on the most musical audition possible. Good luck. So let's get started. The first piece we're going to work on is the HST, a high school technical etude, which is the characteristic study number 3 out of the Arbin book. This is a very challenging etude, and successful auditions will be played by those rare few who have the patience to practice it slowly and carefully from the very beginning of the process. Strive to play slowly enough that you make virtually no mistakes at all. Doing so generally requires some serious patience, but that discipline and maturity will pay great dividends not only on the All-State auditions, but also in your progress as a musician in general. Just in case you're looking at the old version of the Arbin book that looks like this, watch out for the misprint. This misprint is in the 10th measure of the exercise, which is right here at the end of the measure. This error got corrected by Tom Hooton and his wife Jennifer Murata in the newer edition of the Arbin book, which came out a few years ago, and that's the edition that most of you should have already. If you've got that, then no worry. But if you do have the old version, what you're going to want to do is on the high G, change it to an 8th note, which is what I did right here. I put that flag on there myself. And then you want to cross out this 8th rest. That should be gone. So what we should have here is an 8th note and then an 8th note. And you definitely want to take a breath in between those two notes. Now, let me ask you something. If you were presented with the opportunity, would you rather learn this version as you see on the screen, or would you rather learn from this version? This version right here is what I call doubled mode. And I've written this out. What I've basically done is I've doubled all the rhythms. So all of those 16th notes that you see in the original become 8th notes here. And in fact, I've even made a quadrupled mode version by doubling it 1 note further. And it looks like this, all quarter notes. It looks super simple, doesn't it? If you like, I'll be happy to send you a copy of my doubled and quadrupled mode versions so that you can practice from them. I think doing this makes it, number one, less intimidating and scary. And number two, it allows you to slow it down and really focus on the details of the articulations and the dynamics. Makes it a lot easier to learn. And so if you start by learning all the correct everything in the piece, all the correct rhythms, all the correct notes, all the correct articulations, and then you gradually speed it up and move back toward the original looking version, back to this, and then eventually to that, you'll be in a whole lot better shape. Again, let me know if you want me to send you a copy. My email address is pwood, that's pwood, at southalabama.edu. In the beginning, when you're first learning this study, you want to practice the exercise as slowly as you need in order to get every single note, rhythm, and articulation correct. Repeat the exercise until you feel comfortable at that given slow tempo, and only then should you move on to a slightly faster tempo, repeating this process until you reach your goal. Listen and practice along with my recordings at quarter notes 60, 70, 80, and 86. And again, only when you can play at a given tempo cleanly and comfortably should you move on to the next faster one. The marked tempo of quarter note equals 86 is only a goal tempo. In my opinion, though, that is insanely fast, as you can hear in my recording. However, most judges are likely to favor a person who plays the excerpt cleanly and musically, even if they have to play it a little slower than the marked tempo in order to do so, over another player who plays the full marked tempo, but without clarity and musicality. Play only as fast as you can play it well, and choose your tempo wisely. One of the things that I hear a lot in younger players is they tend to shorten and put a space after the last note of every slur. And in my opinion, that makes the music more choppy, makes it more difficult to play. I would recommend that you make the last note of every slur connect into the following note in a legato fashion. See my quadrupled mode version for greater clarity on this. As you can see here, I have put an extra legato or tenuto marking on the last note of every slur, reminding the player that they should carry that note right into the one that follows it. So you can see it there, and there, and there, etc., etc. Let me show you what that sounds like. If you do it slowly. And as you speed it up faster and faster, it becomes all the more crucial. Makes for much greater musical flow. If I go faster yet. A lot of kids will separate after that note, and it just kind of chops it up. So hopefully that makes sense. I would really recommend that you practice with my quadrupled mode version first and really get the feel for that connection, and then move into the doubled mode version doing the same thing, and then move back to the original version also doing the same thing as well. Here's a couple handy tricks. Try using the third valve for your low E's instead of 1 and 2 in all those fast arpeggios. That makes those passages a lot easier and usually more in tune as well. For the high A's above the staff, also use third valve instead of 1 and 2. A third valve will bring that note into better tune and also creates less resistance. You don't have to blow as hard, and those high A's tend to come out a lot easier and cleaner. In my experience, breathing is quite a challenge in this exercise, especially if you play it at slower tempos. Plan your breaths carefully and thoughtfully, and mark them in. If you choose a slower tempo, you might want to consider doing a ritornando during and taking a breath at the end of measure 16 in the original version. In my doubled mode version, by the way, that's measure 32, and in the quadrupled mode version, that is measure 128. Here I'll show you, this is the original version. This is where I would suggest you do a little ritornando here, take a breath here where this smaller yellow circle is, and then a tempo here. So you can play it like this. And here I'll start at the pianissimo. So yeah, if you take that breath where I showed you right there, it makes that ending a whole lot easier. Pay close attention to your articulations in this exercise. Especially when you're playing at faster tempos, it's easy to miss some of those little changes that occur and to practice the slurring incorrectly. Watch out especially for the slurring in measures 12 and 13 in the original version. As I've shown you right here with these yellow dots, notice that the slur covers 3 notes, all 3 notes. There, there, and there. The rest of the piece has these slur 2, tongue 1 patterns. And it's real easy to get used to that and just play it out of habit. But watch out carefully for these spots where I've put my yellow dots here for the slur 3s. Incidentally, in my doubled mode version, that's measures 24 to 26. And in the quadrupled mode version, that's measures 94, 98, and 102. Blow across the bar lines into the Fs in measures 2 to 3, 6 to 7, 15 to 16, and 17 to 18. Also accelerate the air from the Gs to the Fs in beats 1 to 2 and 3 to 4 in measure 19. Let me show you what I mean. Here it is at the end of measure 2. You want to make that F the loudest note, not the G. It's really tempting a lot of times to go for that G and then ease up, and then thus it makes the F kind of crack. But if you get your air moving properly and blow into the F, then the rest of the phrase will come out a lot easier. And then if you look down at the bottom of the screen here in the second to last measure, you'll see the same thing. And again, once you get it, if you practice that at a slow tempo so you get used to it, and then gradually speed it up, if you get that happening at a fast tempo, you're going to sound like $1,000,000. Finally, be sure to follow the dynamics to help distinguish yourself from the rest of the pack. A lot of people are going to struggle just to be able to play this thing with all the notes and rhythms, and to have the endurance and the breathing to make it happen properly. They're going to forget about dynamics. If you can be one of those few people who does dynamics, the judges will notice you and you'll have a better chance of making All-State.